You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
Okay, so we're here now. We had a little bit of a technical glitch this morning, but that's only because I've got one of the most high-flying frequency people I have ever come across sitting in the studio with me, so I think it's your fault.
It's definitely my fault. Wherever there's technology, I managed to break it.
She's like, and it's not even Mercury retrograde. That's
right.
What I love. So welcome back to another edition of LA40. This is the show on LA Talk Radio where we delve into all things how to really create the life that you want, especially if you're living life after 40. Now, if you're not living life after 40, don't tune out. But the point is that I find through all of the interviews I've done, there's a tipping point that typically happens around 40. And people get to a point where they look at their life and they say, am I really where I thought I was going to be at this point? Some people, if you're doing it, if you're knocking it out of the park and you've got the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog named Benji, awesome, good for you. If you don't, what steps can you take to turn things around so that you really can live the life that you want? So I am so pumped today because in studio we have, wow, I don't even know how to describe you. First of all, her name is Regan Hillyer. So Regan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Regan is a self-made multimillionaire. She is a global entrepreneur. She is a philanthropist, a motivational speaker, but really I think you are an advocate for the importance of personal development, personal empowerment, self-transformation, because you yourself have gone through self-transformation and really are becoming one of the foremost thought leaders in the field of developing human potential in order to manifest your dreams. So very excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before I choke, I want to remind you folks that it's a dial-in show, so if you're wanting to join the conversation, and you at home, 818-570-5085. That's local U.S. So +1 818-570-5085. As I choke, I'm going to throw this over to Regan. So Regan, one thing I want to talk about today is manifesting money, manifesting abundance, manifesting love, manifesting things that you want in your life.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. What the heck is money mindset?
Well, money mindset, I really believe, is the core of your internal reality around money. And I feel like there's a lot of people looking to create more money in their life. Like, I'm yet to meet someone who's like, no more money, please. Like, just
that's enough.
No more. I just can't deal with any more money, right? There's always this next level. And so it's kind of this game that I think a lot of people are playing around how do we create more of that? How do we manifest it? How do we have it flow in with ease? How do we then kind of keep some of it, maybe repurpose some of it and use it to grow? And I feel like so many people are looking outside of themselves for the answers, right? They're saying strategically, I'll do this, or I'll start this business, or I'll invest in property, I'll do all this stuff. And although you need to obviously take action, what's even more important in my eyes is your internal wiring, your mindset around your money.
Well, and the thing that, people have been throwing it around lately, and I don't know if it's just because I've become more tuned to it, but this word of manifestation and alignment and frequency. So before we get into all of that, in order to frame why you're here and why you're an expert, can you talk to us a little bit about your journey into understanding the world of manifestation?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely wasn't brought up with it. It wasn't a household conversation for me. I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay, hence the beautiful accent.
Yeah, if you can all understand me. And an amazing family, but they very much believed in following the system and, going to school and working really hard and getting good grades. And so that's exactly what I did. And, I never really knew what I wanted to be or do as a kid, like so many children, I really believe. And my parents said, well, you have to go to university or college, right? And so I said, well, I don't know what I want to do. And my dad said, well, if I had your opportunities, I would have been an architect. Right. And so I was like, well, obviously that's what you should do. And so I went down that path and I started studying architecture, and I enjoyed parts of it, but I wasn't madly in love with it, And I remember I was working really hard, and I was in this lecture theatre, and this new lecturer walked in, and he said something along the lines of, welcome future architects, welcome to your future. I want you to picture your life as an architect 20 years out from now. And I shut my eyes, and I started picturing and visualizing, and I was like, is this the life?
Oh my gosh.
Is this the life I'm creating? And so it had a reverse effect on me than what he was trying to achieve. And I ran out of the room, and I called my dad, and I was like, you know what, Dad, I can't do this. I don't love it. It's not me. It's not my purpose. I'm not going to do this. Really focused 17-year-old.
Probably scared to make that call, though, too, right?
Really
because this
scared.
was part of their dream for you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And to my surprise, my dad turned around and he was like, okay, Regan, I want you to be happy at the end of the day. I support you in that. And I was like, really? And then he said to me, so what are you going to do? And I was like, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute on that one. And so that's what threw me into the world of personal development and coaching and mentoring and education and starting to go to events and seminars and really realizing that, wow, okay, you can live a different life and you can create some different results from actually shifting internally and then taking some external action. But yeah, that's really where it all started.
So it starts with shifting internally. Now, what does that mean?
Well, everyone has their own internal reality. And I had an amazing mentor of mine that said, Regan, if there's something you're looking to achieve or create or have externally in your life, and it's not there right now, like if you have a dream or a vision and it's not showing up, then something's going on internally which is not aligned to that, which is blocking you, which is stopping you, which is limiting that flowing in. Because, I really believe the world's trying to support you in this process. The world's trying to actually give you everything that you desire. We just get in the way. Right. And so with our own limitations and fears and limiting beliefs and not being able to think big enough and expand our vision, all of those things come into play. And so my game really is, how do we dig into this and play with it?
Right. And that's the question. How do we dig into it? So you basically have learned some tips and tricks to really kind of listening to self, because part of it, I had the opportunity about a year ago to interview Marianne Williamson. And she said something really great. It was a phrase, I don't think she had coined it, but she mentioned it, and I hadn't been aware of it, but it was the word pronoia. So, we all have paranoia, right? Paranoid about this, paranoid about that. But how many of us run around with pronoia, which is basically assuming that things are going to work in your favor rather than against your favor, right? So it's sort of following your bliss and tapping into that. If you're at home and you have a career and it's just not moving the way you want it to, even though consciously you're telling yourself, I want things to change, there's something internal that is blocking you, as you mentioned. So how does one get into understanding what that block might be, right? What are some of the exercises that people can do?
Well, definitely. And I think the first thing really before actually going into the blocks is getting clear on where you're going. Okay. Because you can look at all your blocks, but if you're not clear on where you want to go, then we don't really know what blocks we need to dig in and remove, firstly, right? And so, I recommend that people start getting clear on their vision. And I truly believe that so many people never actually receive what they want in their life because they never actually decide what they want. And they're not clear about it. I have people and they're like, yeah, Regan, I want to be financially free. And I'm like, great. Like, how much money is that? Right. Like, what does that look like? Right. How does that affect every area of your life? What does that look like per week, per day, per month, per year, right?
So then would you caution or advise people then to really dig down and come up with a dollar value? Rather than just, hey, I want $1 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
If you want to own 3 yachts and a jet, you're going to need a heck of a lot more than $1 million, right?
Exactly.
So quantify it?
Exactly. And it's getting, in the money stuff, it's getting an aligned amount, really. Okay. So instead of, a lot of people go to that and they go, $1 million. Okay, great. But and what's interesting is that when you dig into that with what someone actually wants to create in their life, generally speaking, it's actually, they need less than what they think often.
Okay.
It's often like, oh, I want $1 million. Well, what do you really want? And they write out all their goals and they're like, oh, I actually only need about $600K to do that, right?
Right, yeah. So it's all, actually we have a caller, so hang tight 1 second. Okay. All right, let's see who's on the line. LA Talk Radio. Hello? Oh, shoot. Hang on. I think I've got him muted. Oh, yes. Hello? You're on LA Talk Radio.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Dr. Anthony White.
Yes, Dr. Anthony. How are you?
I am wonderful.
Fabulous.
I am loving this show.
Okay, great. Dr. Anthony, it's one of those on point messages that I think a lot of people would resonate with today. So thanks for calling in.
It is my pleasure.
Now, what has been your experience with manifestation or alignment, I guess is where the conversation was going?
Well, one of the things that I've lived by is simply this. When your purpose embraces your passion, you'll give birth to your destiny.
Nice.
Very true. But my question is this, and maybe I'll pose this to both of you, and it's a question I've been asking for a few years. How much do we drive our destiny versus our destiny driving us?
I think that's a beautiful question, and I think it's a dance. I think it's a dance of you both, really, at the end of the day. You know, I really believe that there is a divine plan and that the universe is coming through us and looking to co-create with us, but at the same time, we still have the ability to create our life in alignment with that. And ultimately, we can choose. You know, we can adjust the plan if we want.
Anthony, what do you think of that?
I totally agree.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I totally agree, simply because when I shared this with a group, I was speaking to a group yesterday, and they asked, does your destiny chase you, or do you chase your destiny? And I told them, I said, well, before the foundations of the world, your destiny is waiting for you. And I said, the only reason why you may not reach your destiny is because you choose not to reach your destiny. If we're doing the electric slide and everyone's dancing in line, then you can't help but to fall in line with the flow of what's going on. But if you choose to do a different dance in the midst of something that's already orchestrated for you, you'll be the only one that's responsible for missing it.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, if the plan is already laid out, but if you choose to not follow the spiritual or emotional or the cosmic GPS that's lined up for you, and you begin to reroute yourself, there's nobody else's fault that you miss your destiny but yourself.
But that's part of the question is, you know, and how do you release the how? Because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck is they feel that they've got to be their own GPS, and they're not taking time to still themselves to hear what really the bigger universal plan is. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Both of us, yes.
You know what, Anthony,
please go ahead.
You know what, I'll let you go first, Anthony, because then I want to clear the line in case we've got other callers, and then we'll bump it back to Regan. But what are your thoughts on that, on us taking control versus allowing it to come through?
Well, first of all, you have to silence the voice of your enemy. And the enemy is the INAME, that inner voice that speaks negativity, that inner voice that gives you the no you can't rather than empowers the yes you can.
Okay. So how does one go about stilling or quieting that negative voice?
What you have to do is look in the mirror. Instead of saying what's wrong with you, look at the mirror and say what's right with me. When you can see you're right and allow your scars to tell their stories, because everything that has happened to you, every scrape on your knee, it has a story to tell. And if it didn't kill you, it made you stronger. And for that reason, it empowers you to be great, and it silences the voice of doubt.
I'm just going to repeat that because we're live streaming on a few different platforms. And the beauty is that if we're live streaming through LA Talk Radio, we're getting all of this volume. We're live streaming through a platform that's not getting what's in our audio. So just in case you're at home and you're listening or you're watching, we're talking about the importance of not beating yourself up for the dips, because those are part of the journey, I guess is the point, right? Really shifting from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. All right. Now, very important. Anthony, I definitely want to delve into some of this with you further, but we're going to let you go for the moment. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an honor.
All right. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye now.
I love him.
Yeah, he was great. He was great because it's all about that, just the importance of, maybe I want to take it back down a notch. You were talking about alignment, and so was Dr. Anthony. What does alignment mean? We hear about, be in alignment with that. What does that mean?
Right. I feel like it's kind of like a buzzword that's
being
thrown around at the moment. Well, look, I get asked all the time, Regan, how do I live in alignment? How do I make sure I'm making money in alignment? Asked all these questions. And I always turn around and ask, well, what are you aligning to?
Right.
Okay. And so alignment's going to look slightly different for everyone. But this is where, again, I go back to the vision. And what are you calling in? And what are you creating? What are you joining forces with in the universe, right? And so once you know that, it becomes very simple. And the question is, are you in alignment with that vision or not? And then
How do you know if you are or not? So give me an example.
Yeah, so let's say a new opportunity comes up and it's like shiny and exciting and you're like, wow, this is like the best opportunity ever. If that happens, I stop and I pause and I'm like, okay, cool, wow, that seems amazing. Is this in alignment with my big vision? And quite simply, is this taking me further into my vision, or is this actually kind of pulling me away? Right? And then, so I tune in logically, but then I also tune in into intuition and feeling. And I tune into, okay, how does this feel? And it's like, oh, my gut, like, it just doesn't feel right. And I trust that. Or in my gut, I feel a little bit like of fear and a little bit uncomfortable because it's big and scary, but it's exciting. And this feels like a yes. Okay, so for me, there's a logical check and there's an internal check on what does this feel like. And then it becomes a very simple game. It's not a big complicated, write everything for 2 hours out on a journal. Like, it's not about that. It's really, okay, is this in alignment or not? Yes or no, left or right?
So you create a vision, you have it, you try to stay in alignment with it. Other than journaling it or seeing it in your mind or meditating, how else can you practically bring it into being?
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'm looking for strategic macro versus tactical micro.
Totally.
You know, and what percentage should we be playing in?
Yeah.
And is there a correct percentage, or is that, individual?
Yeah, look, I use the frame to help people get a kind of feeling of how much you can dig into it. And I say, do 80% internal work and then 20% action on the outside.
Wow.
Right.
That's a little opposite what we're taught, though, right?
It's totally
we're taught
opposite.
to just work.
Right.
And so if you're not working, 80% internal just sounds a little bit fuzzy to me.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people because we're taught that we have to work really hard and push and do all of that. But the key is the 20% has to be aligned action. It's not just busy for the sake of being busy action. It won't work if you're busy for the sake of being busy. You'll end up flipping it. You'll do the 80-20 the other way. Right?
And that's why most people aren't manifesting what they want.
Exactly. So instead, we're getting clear. We're doing all of this internal work. And from that place, when it comes to actually taking action and doing the do, this is when I ask myself, and I encourage the people that I work with to ask myself, okay, considering that vision is already done, right? Because we've locked and loaded, that's decided, that is written in the stars, right? Considering that is already done, what can I do right now in order to speed up the manifestation process? And there's something interesting that happens energetically. Because what most people ask is, what do I need to do to make it happen?
Right.
And they wear all of it on their shoulders, and then they work really hard and they push and they're responsible for all of it. They forget that the world's creating with them, right? So instead, it's like, oh, it's done. Okay, now I'm going to actually release how it's going to happen. This is part of releasing that how that we just talked on, right? And instead going, okay, well, it's already done. It's happening anyways. But what can I do to speed it up? And that's where it's like, oh, well, I'd call this person. I'd start doing this. I'd reach out to them. I'd get this. I'd go on the show, right? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I now commit to that, and I'm going to go and do those 3 things today.
And I think that those 3 pieces are the key. So I'm just going to repeat that, and for you at home, because what she's saying is so powerful. It's really moving to a place where it's done. Like, just get a knowing inside, and then relax, right? And I think what happens is, even if we think that we know, we're still conditioned to, I have to make it happen, and I have to push. And that's where the stress comes in, the anxiety. You end up lowering your vibration, and then you're just not playing at that place. You had said something, and I had seen something going by one of your live streams a few weeks ago, talking about currency, frequency being your currency. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well,
because we all think money is our currency, right? We're told that, work hard, your effort or your cash flow. One of those 2 is going to move you forward.
Right, exactly. And yeah, that stands to be true. But if you want to move that forward, then we need to start looking at our frequency. We need to start looking at our vibration. We need to look at where are we manifesting from. I really believe that you can't attract something into your life if you're not vibrating at the same frequency as that thing. And so if you're getting in a place of fear and doubt and worry and low vibrations and low frequencies, if you're there, then you're just going to magnetize all of this towards you. Right. And so something interesting happens from a I guess, a frequency perspective when you're starting to do your vision work, right? So you sit down like we talked about and you get clear and specific about it. And it's almost like you start painting this like dream reality, right? It's like you start painting this dream reality, and it doesn't stand to be true anywhere else than in your own system and in your own mind and in your own body. And you start looking at it and feeling it, and you start getting details around it. But you start actually more than anything starting to feel like it's real, right? You know, kids do this so beautifully. Kids are the most powerful manifestors, and what do they get told at school? Stop daydreaming, concentrate, come back to this reality.
We
right?
almost beat it out of each other when we're young.
Right,
you know,
so much
society
work I do
does.
with people, is helping them remember how to do this, because we're not teaching you how to do this. We're activating what is already your natural state.
Right, because you're a proponent of manifestation is our natural state.
Yeah.
And we don't have to learn how to do it. We simply have to remember how to do it.
Exactly.
And allow it to happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And something really cool happens when you start playing into this dream reality, and it becomes so real to you that it's almost like it is done, and you feel it, and it's like, wow, that feels so strong, until you actually start walking around this reality right now as if it's done. And, you know, people might look at you and say, you know what, you're crazy. What are you talking about? You're thinking so big, like all of that stuff, right? But you're not knocked by it because you literally feel as if it's already happened. And then something beautiful happens as we kind of start to collapse time and space a little bit, and your vision starts actually pulling forward into your reality. And then you hit this point where you wake up and it's like, oh,
I'm in it.
Oh, that was the thing that I thought of, right? That was the thing that I dreamed about. That was the thing I said yes to. That was the thing I welcomed into this. And it's like, oh. And then you notice it all derived from actually tapping into that feeling, not because you worked really hard, not because you stressed out about it, not because you did 10 secret things that no one else is going to tell you how to do. It wasn't that. It was because you started being it. You don't get in life what you do, you get in life who you are.
Right. So just be who you want to be. So big in terms of the concept of it, because again, most of society isn't taught any of this,
right?
But a lot of it is so important. One of the things that I love is the fact that, you know, and this came to me recently, and it came through, you know, some of the training that I've done with Regan actually, is the fact that money is actually an energy, right? And it's a high vibration energy, and it's a fun, happy energy.
Right.
And so if you think about it, again, in practical terms, you look at some of the lower socioeconomic levels that don't have a lot of money, and you find a lot of people that are depressed, that are anxious, that are living in just a negativity.
Right.
There's no way that money can play at that level.
Right.
So they have to bring themselves up to the level that money is at.
Right.
And that's a fun level. It's an energetic give and take level, right?
Exactly. And I think the trap people fall into, and you put that so beautifully, is that they're like, oh, well, I'll be fun and happy and grateful once I have the money. And it's like, no, you have this backwards, right?
Yeah.
It's like you need to be that first, and then the money will show up. You know, I know we're talking really big picture here, but let me give you a really tangible example. You know, I remember when I was studying to be an architect that I didn't want to be, and, you know, I was up to my neck in debt, right? Student debt, credit card loans, personal loans, all for you know, my own personal development and education, and I wasn't really having much success on the outside yet. Like nothing had really shifted for me. And I went to an event and I invested into the VIP option so that I get to go to, you know, the dinner and hang out with, you know, some successful people. And these guys were millionaires, multi-millionaires. There was a range of currency traders, business people, property people, and I felt so out of my depth. Like I walked into this room and all my stuff came up. I was like, who am I to be in this room? I'm not good enough to be here. I'm not successful. All the really negative vibrations, right? And it's interesting as I was like, okay, cool. And I noticed no one was really noticing me or talking to me. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe it's because they can feel I'm like this, right? And I took a stab in the dark and was like, maybe it's because they can feel that I'm really not feeling good enough here. So I started to change this, and I just started literally directing myself through my mind, saying, you know what, you are here, you belong here, this is a good place for you to be, these are amazing people to meet. And what's interesting is I started chatting to these successful people, and I started noticing that, they've all created massive amounts of success, but they've all done it very different ways. There weren't two people in the room that had done the same thing strategically. And so I started being like, okay, well, what is it then?
Right. What's the common thread, right?
What's the
'Cause
common
it's not
thread?
the tactical, right.
Yeah, and why them and not me? And if them, why not me? Right? And I started looking at this and I started realizing, hang on, if I tune into this, they feel kind of the same to be around. They kind of hold their body in the same way. Their focus is like up. And I was like, where's my focus? My focus was like down and on the ground and hiding, right? And I was like, okay. And I thought to myself, okay, if this is how millionaires be, I'm just going to start being that, right? And I was like, okay, how does the multi-millionaire version of Regan think? How does this version of me walk? How do I talk? What do I tolerate? What do I not tolerate? Who do I have around me? What do I eat? Like, I started looking at everything. And I literally started, being this version of me. And it's not a fake it till you make it thing, because it's not something where you're acting and then you snap into something else. You simply call forward a higher version of you and choose to show up as that.
And you chose to show up as that, built a company that started going from, like, you personally being in debt in order to support your personal development.
Right.
And then you had a $25,000 month, and then you had a $100,000 month, and recently you've had $1 million month.
Yeah.
You're at a 7 figures a month in a super short time frame because you have chosen to step into what your 100 million or 100 million or 100,000 or 25,000 or $10,000 version of you might look like.
Right. Exactly. And the beautiful thing to know is this work never stops.
Yeah.
It never stops. Someone might be tuning in now going, wow, okay, cool. Okay, how does the $5,000 a month version of me act and walk and talk and think? And that's awesome. And I've done this every step along the way, and now I'm like, okay, cool. How does the $1 billion version of me walk and talk? I don't even know. That seems incomprehensible to me right now. And that's the place you want to play, a place where it's like, wow, that's so big. I almost can't even feel that. Start feeling that. Yeah.
You talked about tolerating and not tolerating. So what was one thing that you decided, I no longer tolerate this in my life, that helped you to shift?
There was a lot.
Okay. Right, because there is, right?
There was a lot. But one of the biggest things for me was around environment.
Okay.
Yeah, around environment, and really realizing that, okay, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around. And that stands to be true financially with money, right? But in every area of your life, in your health, in your relationships, and how much fun you have, and all of it. And I looked at the 5 people I was surrounding myself with, and I was like, oh.
No wonder I'm not moving anywhere.
Okay. This is not helping. And so for me, I started saying, okay, cool. I'm not going to tolerate being around negative people. I'm not going to tolerate people that can't handle my light if it's shining really bright. I'm not going to tolerate someone that can't actually hold space for me when I talk about my vision. I'm just not going to tolerate that anymore. And now that doesn't mean that those people are bad or I'm better than them. It simply means I don't necessarily want to hang out with you. And guess what? If you have to hang out with some of these people, because some people say, well, what about my family?
Right.
I can't just get rid of them.
Right.
You can be in someone's space, but you can also change your level of tolerance around how much you share with them energetically. And maybe you don't sit down and tell them your big vision because they're just not going to get it.
Right.
And so you can still love on them and you can still have a beautiful relationship with them. It's not that you have to cut them and run away, and you can be in their place, but really, what is serving your growth and who are you around?
Weren't you scared to move into that growing Regan, though? Because a lot of people are driven by comfort, right? And one of my things that I've observed over the course of my life and my career is, if anything is going to kill you in terms of your ability to move forward, it's complacency.
Right.
And you're usually complacent because you're comfortable. And comfortable is easy, right?
Right.
So how much of that was a struggle to allow yourself permission to move into the higher place? Because I assume when you stop tolerating a certain level of being in your life, those friends are going to drop off. Were you ever worried that if I lose these friends, who am I going to be around? How do you get over the fear of change?
Yeah, look, I had a lot of it, and it's really funny. I went extreme on it. I started clearing out my environment. I removed
Sorry,
everybody.
I'm not answering your call anymore.
I literally moved country to change my environment. I moved, it wasn't a big leap, but I moved from New Zealand to Australia because I wanted to start fresh. And again, not that they were bad people, but it's like, okay, these people are not taking me to the next level. And what's interesting is I did actually wake up one day and go, oh, there's no one left. I have no friends. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then that was the next layer of environment. It was like, okay, how do I now bring really amazing people into my space? And, when you ask Katerina about, okay, cool, was it challenging? And how did you overcome that? It was really challenging, and it's continuously challenging. But I remember, especially in the beginning, my belief in myself was really low. I had big dreams and goals, but at the end of the day, I was like, how's that going to happen? And who am I to do that? And so one of the things that I did is that I started surrounding myself with people who could see some things in me that I couldn't really see in myself at that moment in time. And I really just started borrowing belief from some people. I started having amazing coaches and mentors, and they would say, Regan, you know, I see you going here, and I see you doing this, and I love this in you. And I'd be going, really? You think I can do that? And they're like, yeah, I can see it in you. Like, you're so close. And I'm going, okay. And honestly, I'm going, I don't really see that, but
kind of pushing you.
Yeah, but I'll take it. I'll take that. I'll take that belief. I'll borrow that from you. I'll take that from you. Okay, all right. I don't see that either, but I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. And then eventually it started to become my belief system. But I had to borrow it from other people that could see things in me that I couldn't see in myself.
And it's seeing it in yourself and borrowing it from other people. And that brings me to where I wanted to go with this, is the importance of coaches and mentors, because you have had a lot. I am getting to the place where I'm really seeing the value in it. But I want to share one story with you, and you'll appreciate this story. So Lisa Nichols. Right, exactly. So one of the most inspiring women, motivational speakers, literally transformational. She wrote Chicken Soup for the African American Soul, really part of the secret when it all came out. If you're not familiar with Lisa Nichols, you really need to be. But I had caught an interview with her when she was being interviewed by Oprah back when The Secret was coming out. And Oprah asked her on air on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Oprah says to Lisa, how many coaches do you have? And Lisa says, well, I have 2. And Oprah says, okay, great, because they were talking about the importance of coaches. And so at commercial break, Lisa says to Oprah, she says, you know, something, the light bulb went off. And so she says, I asked Oprah, how many coaches do you have, Oprah? And Oprah says, I have 4.
4 or 5, yeah.
And so Lisa Nichols says, finish the program, go into the parking lot, start calling up a bunch of other coaches, because if Oprah has 4 and I only have 2, I'm damn well getting 4. Right. So talk to me about the importance of coaches. I guess back to the point you just made, right?
It's everything. Yeah, everything when it comes to borrowing the belief. But look, I really believe, you know, someone asked me the other day, a friend of mine, and he was filming a 1-minute video for his Instagram. And he said, I want you to teach someone how to be successful in 1 minute.
Oh my God, go.
Right? I know, literally. And I was like, wow, like it's quite overwhelming. What do you share in 1 minute? But the thing which came out literally was, you know what? Okay, if you're going to do one thing, get clear on where you want to go. Find someone who's either there or helps people get there. Get as close to them as possible. Work with as close to them as possible, and then do what they say.
Right.
That was it. And he was like, oh, that was like 10 seconds. I'm like, well, that's it.
That's how easy it is.
Right.
And, you know, and I have to be really honest, because part of what I'm doing is being mentored by Regan herself, right? Yeah. And so excited that she's actually physically in LA, because she jet sets. She was in Spain, and then she was in Bali, and then she's all over the world doing what she loves to do. And that is, having created the life that she wanted, part of that was living location free. So I know, again, with a lot of our audience, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, and some of them are sitting with this limiting belief that it's too late, I'm too old. Is it too late? Is there a time where maybe life has passed you by?
No. And what's really interesting is that the majority of my clients and friends are in their 40s.
There you go, right?
So no, it's absolutely possible. And yeah, age is no limitation. And it's interesting because I definitely hear those stories and those beliefs of, oh, you know, I've missed my time and this and that and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because I had it on the other spectrum. I was 17, 18 and going into business going, I'm too young. No one's going to take me seriously. And so I had,
and that's a limiting belief as well,
exactly.
Right? Absolutely.
So I had the same thing, but on the other spectrum,
on
kind
the
of
downside,
right? Yeah. And so I really had to not let that affect me and actually not create from that space, because I knew that, again, if I was in that vibration, I was going to attract people that, of course, weren't going to take me seriously. So it's the same thing for anyone listening in. If you're like, oh, you know, it's too late, you know, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, you'll attract opportunities, and it will be too late.
Right.
Yeah. Your external reality is always created from within, so we need to shift that if you have it.
Right. I have a question for you about talking about the importance, and we touched on it a little bit, but I want you to help explain the difference, because we talked about knowing, right? Knowing it. Most people are doing. Some people move into a level of expectancy. I'm expecting it to happen. I kind of know. But the key is to move into knowing. So how does one take themselves from the doing to the expectancy to the knowing? Because as you said, it's knowing it inside that is really going to help make it happen.
Well, look, there's a lot of really, as you know, deep work that you can do around this. But at the end of the day, it's really just awareness of those different realities to play into, and then just choosing that's how it's going to be. You know, you don't sit there and go, will the sun rise today? Will the sun rise? Oh, the sun went up. You know, you don't do that. You're just like, yeah, I know the sun's going to rise, and it's that energy. Yeah, you know, I know I'm going to make that money. Yeah, you know, I know I'm going to help those people. Yeah, I know I'm going to do that with my life. And there's no worry or doubt around it, you know. And if you get into this place where you're like, but how, unconsciously, energetically, all you're doing is you're getting into a fear frequency, because you're saying, I don't know how it's going to happen, so I'm worried about it, so let me tap into fear. And you can't manifest from a knowing place and a fear place at the same time. It's like you can't be in expansion and receiving everything the world has for you and being contracted into fear at the same time. You have to do one or the other, so you have to choose.
Right. Yeah. And I think it comes back down to just having a choice, right? Really being in a place where you're committed to forward movement. What do you say to people that maybe are dealing with, you know, the naysayers? Because for some people, you know, you're single, you have no kids, you can make choices for yourself. What happens if you're a dad of 3 kids and you've got college coming up, but you know you're supposed to be doing something differently? Practically, should you start saving money? Should you start budgeting? Should you start maybe picking up your passion as a hobby? How do you introduce that change if perceivably you have realities that are bounding you?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is too many people, I believe, are creating a future based on some past realities and past constructs, which really aren't real, because you can't go back and change them and shift them and whatever, right? You can't, like, I can't hand you my past right now. Like, it's not tangible. Right. And so we have these past constructs and we bring them into the now, and in the now we have a moment, and any moment, to create a new reality, but we're creating this future that we say we want off a past which was kind of not perfect, which we don't even really want to repeat, and see how the constructs are formed. Right. It's kind of madness when you think about it, but it's just what we do as humans, right? So it's not judging that. It's just loving on that and being like, okay, and realizing that in any moment you have the opportunity to create a different reality. You know, when it comes to money, people look at their bank account and they're like, oh, I can't afford it, I can't do this, da, da, da. Your bank account is just a reflection of your past beliefs and decisions and things you did and didn't do, you know, versus you have the opportunity to shift and alter that in any moment. So it really is starting to, again, get clear on that vision, remove these limitations which are going on. If you don't believe it's possible to have your 3 kids and live a life you love and do all that stuff, you won't. It's that simple. Well, what do you need to choose to believe instead? And I would be writing out, you know, I choose to believe that this is possible. I choose to believe that I can make money doing what I love. I choose to believe it's easy. I choose to believe that I have people come to me who really support me. I choose to believe that my kids love this process as well, you know, and all of those are just choices, yeah.
Right. And, you know, it's a choice to make money. Some people, though, feel limited by this, I guess it's almost a perceived altruism, which is if I make money, then I'm somehow not contributing to society. Talk to me about the fallacy around that.
Well, it's potentially true. I mean, money is an amplifier. I really see it as an amplifier. And so if you're just a bastard and you get really rich, you're going to be a rich bastard, right? You will be, I promise. But if you're amazing and you're heart-centered and you want to contribute and do amazing, beautiful things in the world, then you'll just be that, but on a grander scale.
Right.
And so that's where I like to play. I like to really tune into how can I be the best version of me? And then how can I create as much money as possible to amplify that so that more of the world can see that and feel that, and I can create more change through that, versus someone who goes, you know, I'm really selfish, how to create more money. Yeah, you're going to be rich and selfish. Like, you get to choose.
Right, yeah. And I think you get to choose on all of it, which is the fun part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we forget sometimes that life is supposed to be fun, and we're here to be enjoying our days.
Right.
And we put so much perceived stress on ourselves that we go through life, and you get to the end of it and you think, that couldn't possibly have been it.
Right.
Right? So maybe just a reminder to people to just take a breath.
Right.
Right? Take a breath.
I love that. So I work with so many beautiful high-level clients, and often they come to me wanting to increase their income, and they're telling me, you know, I'm doing this and strategically that, and I'm like, okay, great. And I ask them a couple of things. I say, firstly, when was the last time you stopped to make money? It's the first thing I say, and their brain is like Scooby-Doo face, like I don't know what, right? And then the other thing I say is, when is the last time you manifested money through having so much fun? Right? And some of them are like, oh, kind of reason maybe I could be doing more. And some of them are like, not in a long time. Right? And so those two things, like actually stopping the doing to do the internal work, to breathe, like you said, to get into these places, and then also tapping into this energy of fun and play and creation, that is one of the most powerful energies when it comes to manifestation.
And again, it's an energy that is vibing with money, because money is vibing at that fun, energetic, creative level.
Exactly.
Right. And actually, I encourage you at home, if you're watching, to think about it, because I did a little bit of thinking on this a few months ago, and I thought, every time something good happens to me, it comes as a fallout of my having had a really fantastic weekend,
Yes.
of my having laughed a lot, of my having forgotten everything and just been in the moment. And things will happen. When you go back into that fear-based of, I need to make it happen, then it just doesn't. So it's funny. Think about it. Think about the last time something fun happened to you. I have 4 girlfriends. The 4 of us are like super tight. One of them literally is my sister, blood sister. The other 2 are my kind of friend sisters, but they're sisters. So it's 2 and 2 sisters. Anyway, long story short, every time we get together, magic happens.
Yeah.
And we were together. They had come here for my birthday in March. And we were out. We were in Beverly Hills. We were just having dinner, laughing, the whole thing. And this woman comes up to us. She was probably about mid-50s. At the end of, they were sitting at a table next to us. And she said, girls, I just have had so much fun observing you that we want to buy you a second bottle of champagne because we love the vibe that's just coming off you.
Right.
We didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for the, but she just was feeling the goodness. And so the goodness came back to us. And it's so important.
Exactly. I was actually I was out to dinner last night with Caleb and Matt Maddox. And if you guys don't know them, go and look them up. Caleb is 15.
15.
He's 15, right? And he's just taking over the world and impacting kids. He's written 6 books already. And his dad is incredible because Matt just supports him and creates space for him and just literally gives him these life opportunities. And we were talking just about, really big high-level things that were going on in all 3 of our lives and people and connections and talking on big stages. And we were having these conversations. And we were just like, yeah, we do this and it's so much fun. Then we do this, it's so much fun. And then I was like, isn't it cool, guys, that we just get to play and do all of this? And Caleb said, I love that you keep saying play, right? And I turned to Matt and I was like, yeah, it really is all play, right? And I know personally for me, if I'm doing something that's not my play, I'm like, okay, that either is something that really needs to be done and I can kind of delegate that out to just get it done, or I'm not going to do that anymore. Right, like if someone comes to me with the best opportunity and it's work and it's not play for me, I'm like, nah, I don't want it, because I know there's something bigger and way more fun which is coming my way, which is totally play, and that is going to amplify so much more abundance flowing through.
And it really does, because when you're playing, then things flow. And to your point, I've done the exact same thing. I took a look at my life a few months ago and I thought, what is holding me back? It's the stuff that I don't enjoy doing. I'm not techie. I don't know how to do tech stuff. So guess what? Hire someone that does. Right. Outsource that. Delegate that. That frees me up to do the stuff that I enjoy. And because I'm doing the stuff that I enjoy, stuff is flowing.
So
if you're feeling stuck, take a look at what you can maybe take off of your plate that you don't enjoy so much, that someone else may enjoy. And that way you're actually sharing the energy.
I got an email from a team member 2 days ago, and they were sorting out some new system which they're setting up internally in the business.
She's got the craziest automated everything. It's so on point and efficient. I love it. But that's because you delegate it to people that know how to set that up, right?
Right. And I skimmed the email thread, and it was back and forth with all the stuff. Nothing I needed to do. I don't even know why I was in it, to be honest. And then the very last email from one of the team members said, "Thank you so much. This is so brilliant. I love spreadsheets." I was like, I'm so happy for you. I don't. And that's why you're doing that. And that's why I'm not. Right?
You see, that's exactly the point.
She was so happy about her spreadsheet. Oh my gosh.
So funny. Last question, Regan, if there's one thing that has made all the difference for you on your journey, what would that have been for you? What is it?
Oh, gosh, there's a lot. I think the one thing is really realizing that what is inside of me is real and important. And ultimately, if I tap into that, then I can create and manifest the life that I desire. And I think the biggest thing beyond that is realizing that the more that I do that, the more I give other people permission to do that too. And then I see them shift and change and tap into their play and truly create the life of their dreams.
And when they create the life of their dreams, they then pass that energy on to other people who can create theirs, and it on and on and on and on.
Right.
We are at the end of our program. Regan, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful conversation. Very last point, money mindset. If people want to get into it, lock in your vision.
Yes, lock in your vision, release your resistance, and then take massive aligned action.
Perfect. And if people want to find out more about you and how they can tap into what you have to offer in terms of helping them create massive alignment, massive action, where do they find you?
Definitely. So you can go to reganhillier.com, and then all my social media is all Regan Hillier. There's a lot of amazing free content which goes out on there. And so follow me and reach out and say hi. Let me know you came from the show.
Absolutely. And thank you for tuning into the show. Again, thank you, Regan, for being here. We're so excited every week, Thursday mornings here on LA Talk Radio. We'll see you again next week.
Ciao,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.